One day, having returned overseas only a week before from the trip of a lifetime in Vietnam and Cambodia, I received an anonymous-looking call which sent my heart racing. Stumbling out, she chirped that there was $32,000 worth of some shit. This confused me because as a freelancer I have some savings for unexpected expenses, but it is not common to hold so much cash at home. My banking card was safe with me, and nobody other than myself should have been able to withdraw a sum of this grand caliber without my knowing. Jessica explained that she took the money from a drawer in our sideboard, assuming that we were well off financially. I appreciated her good intentions, but was confused about why she thought I had given her permission to take the money. This left me puzzled over where the $32,000 had come from. The mystery lingered until a month later when Kevin, presumably her husband, returned home. This unexpected resolution still left some tension in the air. Over that month, Jessica made over 136 calls to me, which I chose not to answer initially. When I finally did pick up, she accused me of something unclear. It seemed she was upset, but I couldn't understand why. Her persistent calls had become a source of annoyance, and when I eventually confronted her, she started blaming me for reasons I couldn't grasp. This confusion and the accusations added a layer of complexity to our interactions, leaving me to sort through the misunderstandings and the surprising discovery of the money. I realized that the situation was evolving just as it had been set in motion over the phone. I could hear Jessica's voice ringing out, but I learned she was addressing Lisa, a 33-year-old freelance jewelry designer. Lisa shared her ambitions and personal challenges with me. She expressed a strong desire to have children, but her demanding career often stood in the way. Her husband, Kevin, also 33, had originally held a regular job, but had since shifted his focus to help manage her burgeoning career. When Lisa and Kevin married, she was just starting out and not earning much, so they relied heavily on Kevin's steady income. However, by the time Lisa reached her 30s, her career had stabilized and grown to the point where she needed help managing her busy schedule. Seeing the potential in their partnership, Kevin decided to leave his stable job and join Lisa as a business partner. With Kevin's support, Lisa's business flourished, securing contracts with well-known international brands. Despite their professional success, they faced challenges, particularly with Kevin's mother, Jessica, living alone in the family home. Jessica had a skewed perception of their lifestyle. She believed they were living luxuriously, constantly attending lavish parties and dinners with corporate executives. While these events were indeed part of Lisa's job responsibilities as a jewelry designer, Jessica viewed them as extravagant leisure activities. Jessica's misunderstandings extended to financial expectations as well. She often asked them for money to host her social gatherings, assuming that their perceived lavish lifestyle could easily support her desires. This ongoing misconception created tension as Lisa and Kevin navigated their successful yet demanding lives while trying to manage Jessica's expectations and frequent requests for financial help. While I'm financially capable of supporting Jessica, the lifestyle she imagines us leading isn't as glamorous as it appears. The events we attend are part of our essential business commitments that we cannot skip. Living in luxury is a part of our professional image. It involves dressing elegantly and dining at upscale restaurants. Despite this, Jessica often shares her envy of our lifestyle, usually with a sarcastic undertone. Although I consistently decline her requests for money, Kevin, being her son, occasionally gives in to her demands, seeing it as a minor compromise to maintain peace and prevent disruptions to our work. However, this only seems to encourage Jessica's requests, which escalates our frustration. Recently, Jessica visited us and insisted that Kevin buy her a new dress for an upcoming social event. Although we suggested a more budget-friendly three-piece suit, she was adamant about getting a lavish dress to fit the occasion's perceived grandeur. In her view, the attire was crucial, and she even demanded a matching handbag, expecting us to cover that expense as well. To manage these constant financial demands more efficiently, Kevin decided to set up a credit card in Jessica's name, instructing her to use it for her expenses. Initially, she went overboard with her spending and had to be cautioned by Kevin. He then made it a requirement for her to consult him before making any significant purchases. This approach was intended to give her some autonomy while keeping her spending in check, aiming to balance her desires with our need to manage our finances responsibly. Despite having access to a credit card, Jessica's spending habits didn't change much. She even bought an expensive ring without informing us beforehand. The costs quickly escalated, creating a financial burden. Kevin, who was responsible for the bills, realized that the situation was unsustainable. Frustrated by her disregard for the financial implications, he decided to impose a spending limit on her card. Jessica was irate when she discovered she couldn't pay for her latest shopping spree because of the new limit. She stormed into our house upset and questioned the fairness of the restriction. She argued that her enjoyment of luxury and fun wasn't much different from our professional need to dress up and attend glamorous events. We tried to explain that our appearances at product launches and parties were essential aspects of our work, often hosted in luxurious settings. However, Jessica saw this as mere enjoyment on our part, not recognizing the professional obligations behind these activities. After the spending cap was introduced, Jessica's complaints subsided somewhat, though she still occasionally voiced her discontent to Kevin. Life continued relatively smoothly, and as the year drew to a close, an exciting business opportunity presented itself. A foreign brand offered us a chance to expand our business internationally. This proposal thrilled me as it was a step towards joining the ranks of top-tier designers. Kevin, managing the business aspects, also recognized it as a unique and valuable opportunity that we needed to seize. Despite the exciting opportunity that lay before us, Kevin and I had concerns about how Jessica would react, given her history of lavish spending. When we broke the news of our potential expansion overseas, her reaction was predictable. Jessica accused us of planning to live extravagantly abroad under the guise of work. She feared that we intended to relocate permanently. Trying to soothe her fears, I reassured her that we would return once our business affairs stabilized overseas. Still, she seemed anxious about being left behind. The ongoing debate strained both Kevin and me. Realizing we couldn't take her along, but wanting to offer some consolation, Kevin, tired from the constant arguments, proposed a different solution. He suggested we send her on a week-long vacation. Jessica, half pleased and half skeptical, accepted this compromise. Kevin committed to covering her flight and hotel costs, hoping this would bring some peace. However, the tranquility was short-lived. A few days later, while Kevin was preoccupied with the overseas arrangements, Jessica dropped by our house. She had another request. She wanted additional money to shop during her trip abroad. When I inquired about the credit card Kevin had given her, she admitted he had taken it back, fearing she might misuse it due to fluctuating currency rates. I explained that I couldn't authorize any financial assistance without Kevin's consent. The conversation ended with Jessica leaving in a huff. As the new year dawned, Jessica embarked on her 10-day journey. Upon her return, she shared a surprising revelation that would change our understanding of the entire situation. Jessica called me, bubbling with excitement from her trip, but soon admitted that she had overspent on souvenirs. Feeling increasingly fed up, I confronted her about the money she claimed I had saved for her, a sum I had absolutely no memory of setting aside. The conversation quickly took a sharp turn. I knew I had savings in my bank account earmarked for business emergencies, but it was impossible for Jessica to have withdrawn any cash from there without my consent. She then revealed that she had found $332,000 in a drawer of our house's sideboard. I was baffled. Keeping such a large sum of cash at home was out of the question for us. I informed Jessica that if she had indeed taken money from our house without permission, it constituted theft, regardless of her being family. I stressed the gravity of the situation, particularly if Kevin had earmarked that money for an important business deal. Throughout her trip, there had been no disruptions in our business transactions, which made her claim even more suspicious. Jessica, with a casual demeanor, admitted to using the money, as if informing me would settle the matter. I pointed out that taking money without permission was not only unethical, but also illegal. I expressed my concerns about her entitled reasoning. She defensively retorted that since we live so extravagantly, she saw no harm in sharing a bit of that lifestyle, suggesting that it was almost like doing a favor for a parent. This rationale only deepened my concerns about her understanding of boundaries and responsibility. I found Jessica's reasoning to be wholly inappropriate. She had taken money without permission, yet she seemed unconcerned about the gravity of her actions. She promised I would speak with Kevin upon his return, confident that he, being her son, would understand. She even made a passing remark that $32,000 wasn't much to him. Although I agreed to relay her message, I was deeply unsettled by the entire ordeal and amazed by her blatant lack of awareness. Ending the call, she nonchalantly thanked me and asked me to pass her regards to Kevin. Still perplexed about the presence of $32,000 in cash at home, I confronted Kevin about it when he returned that night. He explained that he had withdrawn the money from his bank account 12 days prior for an urgent payment that required cash. I was surprised he chose to keep such a large sum in a drawer, given the obvious security risks. Kevin appeared troubled when he inquired if I knew anything about the cash. Earlier that day, Jessica had called gleefully, thanking us for the $32,000, mentioning she had a wonderful time spending it. I was confused about her statement until it became clear that the money did indeed belong to Kevin. However, we were still clueless about the intended purpose of such a substantial amount. I questioned Kevin why he had left such a large sum at home, especially since we typically conducted transactions through bank transfers. He revealed that after limiting Jessica's credit card limit, she had covertly borrowed money from various other sources, including consumer finance cards and other credit cards she had opened without his knowledge. When Kevin discovered this, it added another layer of complexity to our already strained dealings with Jessica. Kevin took a decisive step by collecting all of Jessica's credit cards and preparing cash to address her escalating debts. Despite giving her the money, he was aware of the risk that she might spend it carelessly. This approach clarified some aspects of the situation, yet the reasons behind Jessica's actions remained puzzling. I was inclined to handle the repayment of her debts directly through bank transfers, thinking this would be more straightforward and traceable. However, Kevin preferred to maintain fewer records in our bank accounts, aiming to preserve trust with our business partners and keep our bookkeeping straightforward. Thus, he chose to withdraw cash and handle the payments personally. Supporting Jessica's overseas trip was essentially a parting gesture, acknowledging that once we moved abroad, we wouldn't be as available to assist her as before. As time went on, Jessica began to call me frequently, reaching up to 136 calls a day. Kevin had advised me not to engage with her excessive attempts to contact us, but her persistence raised my concerns. One day, her voice, tinged with desperation, broke through as she apologized for the incessant calls during our busy period of moving preparations. She revealed that she was facing daily payment demands and that Kevin was not responding to her calls. Desperate, she turned to me as her last resort for help. I was taken aback that Kevin would take such a drastic measure against his mother, particularly if he had indeed set aside money to clear her debts. Had he used it as intended, perhaps Jessica would not have been overwhelmed with collection efforts from finance companies and consumer lenders. Now she was bombarded with collection letters and calls, seemingly powerless to resolve her financial woes. This situation painted a distressing picture, highlighting the complexities and strains within family dynamics and financial management. The whole situation seemed like something out of a drama series. When Jessica called pleading for help, claiming it was a son's duty to assist his mother, I couldn't help but feel the gravity of her distress. I mentioned her pleas to Kevin when he came home, but his response was unexpectedly harsh. He coldly dismissed her, pointing out that Jess had squandered her chances herself. Following Kevin's example, and despite my desire to help, I decided to block Jessica's number. She was Kevin's mother, and if he chose to distance himself, there was little I could do. As the day of our overseas move drew closer and I was surrounded by boxes in our cluttered home, a profound sense of helplessness washed over me concerning Jessica's predicament. It turned out that the situation had escalated far beyond what I had imagined. Jessica had to sell her house to settle her debts, a drastic measure that underscored the severity of her financial woes. In addition to the $32,000 that Kevin had earmarked for helping her, it emerged that she had concealed even more debts. The total amount was so substantial that even after selling her property, she couldn't fully clear her obligations. The revelation that our home had to be sold was a stark and painful reminder of how deep Jessica's troubles ran, leaving an unimaginable total balance still outstanding. This drastic solution highlighted the harsh realities of financial mismanagement and its devastating consequences on personal and family life. Kevin, although saddened, recognized that there was little we could do about the loss of his childhood home. The emotional weight of losing a place filled with memories because of his own mother's actions undoubtedly brought a profound sense of loss. Now Jessica was living in a modest apartment, struggling to manage her remaining debts with a part-time job. At her age, finding work was challenging, and though I felt a twinge of sympathy for her, the reality was that her financial mismanagement had led to this situation. It was a stark reminder that even in later years, taking responsibility for one's actions is crucial. Meanwhile, our business was flourishing overseas, opening doors to opportunities I had never anticipated. Back home, we received inquiries from various brands, and I found myself navigating offers from unexpected places, an exciting development that significantly broadened our professional horizons. The success was gratifying, but it came with its challenges. My schedule was so packed that finding time to rest was difficult, and Kevin was equally busy with numerous responsibilities. Amid this bustling new life, the thought of starting a family seemed more like a distant dream. As I pondered these thoughts, gazing out at the foreign cityscape from my window, I reflected on the stark contrast between our thriving new environment and the difficulties back home. This juxtaposition underscored the complexities of life, where professional success often coexists with personal challenges and tough familial decisions.